Well, thankfully, it's the return of Premier League football to draw a line under our FA Cup debacle last couple of weeks. As West Ham are travelling to Sheffield United, bottom of the table, Sheffield United, and let's be honest, Riley, mate, it's a game where if West Ham are to get 3 points, it would seriously put us in a very, very strong place at this stage of the season. But I think you'd be forgiven for thinking that probably the confidence levels aren't overly high after what we've been through against Bristol City. But look, before we talk about West Ham, let's talk about Sheffield United. Riley, what are your thoughts on the hosts ahead of Sunday?
Well, look, I think that they've got some qualities about them. I'm glad that they brought back Wilder. I think that's a smart appointment, someone who knows the club quite well. The fans bought into him. I mean, when they actually sacked him, I thought it was quite harsh, to be fair. I think he's a good manager, and I reckon he'll be able to get a bit of a tune out the players. They've got some good players on their side as well. Cameron Archer, I've been very impressed with this season. He obviously signed from Villa, and I think, despite being quite a young striker, he's done very well. He's not like he's got the potential I thought Rhian Brewster had, of course, someone else who plays for them. So I think he's doing really well. James McAtee as well. I believe he's on loan from Manchester City. He scored quite a few good goals this season. He's definitely going to be someone to watch out for, dropping into those pockets in the midfield. Gustavo Harmer as well. He's someone I actually wanted us to sign from Coventry. He's a complete unit in the midfield who he's just an absolute engine, and he's got also he's someone we need to be looking out for. As far as the defence is concerned, I think that's where Sheffield United do fall short. And is a reason why they've struggled so much in the Premier League this season. They haven't bought well. I mean, selling Sanderberg to one of their rivals was just a very weird bit of business. I think that they're almost guaranteed to go down for me, to be honest, but they're going to try and, take on and get as many names in the hat as they possibly can, on their way down. But, I think they're all every team in the Premier League is going to be a challenge. Every single team is going to be a challenge. But all in all, I haven't been too impressed by Sheffield this season, despite some of the quality players that they've got. And I think that realistically, any team in the Premier League this season should be seeing them as a must-win, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I like you, mate, really not impressed by Sheffield United this season. I think they've been pretty crap, really, all round, really. They've not really been nowhere near the levels that are required to stay in the Premier League. It's almost like they're kind of preparing for relegation before the season even started. Like you say, they've made some strange bits of business. They lack Premier League quality. They haven't really got much of it at all across the team. As you say, they've got a couple of players, Archer, Harman. I think they've just got Diaz on loan from Villarreal. Obviously, Diaz, who we were interested in a couple of years ago from Blackburn, he's then coming back on loan. So, but again, not a proven Premier League player. Again, you kind of bought another Championship player. He's obviously not been good enough for Villarreal. So, again, another sort of signing where you go, okay, but you need goals. And all right, look, I'm not suggesting they can go out and buy, Erling Haaland, but they can go out and try and be a bit shrewd, maybe get some Premier League experience. I mean, if you look at Luton have done it quite well. They brought in Townsend, they brought in Barkley. It just adds that bit of steel, a bit of Premier League nous, and I don't think they've really got any of it at Sheffield United. But I will say, like you said, mate, I think the appointment of Wilder, or reappointment, should we say, is a clever move. I think it gives them a little bit of half a chance because he will know how to cause teams trouble. I think, I'll be honest with you, this is probably a great time for them to be playing West Ham. They'll be watched us get bullied off the pitch by a Championship side. So absolutely no doubt in my mind that he'll be saying, right, we'll just do that then. Let's kick lumps out of West Ham all day, and they don't like it, and we'll get out in their faces. They will struggle to deal with it, which I'm sure will be the tactic, and I'm sure it'll probably work, to be honest, in some regards. But we'll have to wait and see. But overall, mate, I mean, 9 points for Sheffield United after 20 games. I mean, like you said, mate, I don't see anything other than relegation for them. Even if Sheffield United, even if Nottingham Forest and Everton get 10 points deductions further, let's just say that happens and they both probably go down, I think Sheffield United will be the third team to go anyway. They're just not good enough. Not good enough at all. I mean, if you look at their ratio of points, they'd be finishing on 17 points, which is pretty diabolical for a Premier League season. Not good enough. Like you say, mate. So are you all but certain then that we'll see Sheffield United back in the Championship next season?
Yeah, I just I think about the other sides, and again, you highlighted a very good point there. The Premier League experience is not there. Apart from, I mean, if you look at their squad, apart from the players who are kind of there before. You know, players like Basham, who's of course injured at the moment. You know, Egan maybe. Apart from that, they don't really have a single Premier League, you know, personal Premier League experience. Like not a single one.
Was McBurney in the Premier League? I can't remember.
McBurney, you could argue as well, but again, he played for Sheffield United during that period, so it's not necessarily the same as saying we've brought in, you know, Premier League players.
Yeah,
Luton's done it very well, and Ross Barkley's back to his best, and Andros Townsend looks very, very good. You know, Forest, all the strugglers down there, they all go with the same rhetoric of, you know, bringing Premier League proven players like Divock Origi, for instance, with Forest, who was an astute buy. You know, I do think only relegation is and to be fair, I do think it's a bit harsh on Sheffield United, because I do think that the quality of the Premier League is definitely very good this season. I think, you know, and even teams like Burnley, who absolutely pissed and walked the Championship last season, are really struggling this season. You know, the only team who are doing even half decently are Luton, to be fair, in that bottom three. And they came up through the playoffs, so they're probably not the team I would have suggested. But you raise a very good point as well there, mate, is that, you know, maybe they'll be licking their lips, having had a look at that performance against Bristol City. What did you make of that performance? Because, listen, I know that we had a lot of fringe players playing, obviously without Paqueta, Bowen, Kudus, who tend to be our, you know, our best three, you know, our best three players. But realistically, with a team of second string players that have Premier League experience, vast experience in the club, you must have been feeling like me and been quite disappointed by that performance. And I think the biggest word for me is just the gutless. You know, they were just like a drive. Yes, we got kicked about by Bristol City, but, you know, I tell you what, that some teams wouldn't have that. Some teams would say, do you know what? They're going to kick us in. We're going to kick them straight back. We're not going to allow ourselves to be bullied on the pitch. But we just didn't look bothered, did we, to be honest?
Yeah, no, awful, mate. Really, really disappointing. I mean, look, let's get one straight. If you take best players out of any Premier League side, they're going to struggle. Like and let's be honest, we're not saying we've lost a couple of players. We've literally lost our front line. We had no Edson Alvarez. Yeah, we were really a depleted squad, and we struggled. But yeah, there were some diabolical performances in there. And players, I just don't want to see wear the shirt again, mate. I don't want to see Aaron Cresswell ever put on a West Ham shirt. And I hate saying that because it sounds like a really nasty thing to say, but I just mean it in terms of their time is done at the club now. Move them on. Don't keep dragging them back out and going like David Moyes typically does, because all he ever seems obsessed with is experience. And well, they've played. I'm just sick of that role. Danny Ings is absolute dog shit and has been dog shit ever since he walked through the door. I never want to see that man put on a West Ham shirt again. Saïd Benrahma's awful, and thankfully I don't think we'll ever see him play for West Ham again. I mean, always be grateful to Benrahma for the penalty in the final. And look, he's had the odd good moments, but overall this season he's been awful when he's been called upon. He offered nothing. I think Danny Ings, I think I read a stat, he passed the ball 7 times and the whole time he was on that pitch. I mean, it was just awful performance. Yeah, that's what I think the problem is with the club at the moment. That the problem is you scratch the surface, you take the quality off, and then there's what we've got left is just not good enough. And if we have got these situations like we've probably got against Sheffield United where we've got a few players out still, I want to see the academy boys given a go. I'd rather see players given a go. Just give them a go. Like, just say, at least then the fans will forgive you then if you lose. Fans will go, well, yeah, all right, but look, we gave the young lads a go. At least they're going to show some bloody fight. I thought Maxwell Cornet actually, at least he tried. I thought he didn't play well, but at least he tried. He was really running around that pitch. He was trying to win the ball. He was trying to make things happen. He just looks a player that's lacking confidence and match time. But yeah, I mean, look, on to West Ham, as we sort of got done that we are now at the moment anyway. It's been a bad week for the club, you know, really embarrassing to lose like that to Bristol City. It wasn't any surprise, but it was a bad week, not just because of the result, but because of the injuries, of course. And we're going to be nursing a few in this game, mate. No Paqueta, of course, he's still out. I think he's in Spain at the moment, trying to get better. And obviously, Mohamed Kudus is definitely out because he's at the African Cup of Nations. But, you know, Jared Bowen possibly in the squad. I think there's hints that he will be playing, or he will be featuring at least, or travelling. So let's wait and see. Edson Alvarez as well, a bit touch and go. I'm going on the assumption that they are fit. I think because we've got this gap now between this game and then Bournemouth, I'd probably take the gamble a little bit if I was the manager anyway. Just say, look, get them out. Let's see what happens. And because we need to, let's be honest, mate, we really do need to get something from this match. And yeah, it is a really big game in terms of what it means for our European football chances. And also to get that mood lifted while we're in the January transfer window, because I think we're going to be quite busy. I'm really pleased, by the way, we don't want to talk about transfers. I'm really pleased that David Moyes has kind of come out publicly and said that we are looking to offload quite a few players. I mean that's music to my ears. I do want to see the backs of now some of these players just simply have given up and are no longer part of things, in my opinion. Before we get into the teams, mate, what you think? What are your thoughts ahead of the game? I mean, I don't know about you. I'm not overly confident going into it because of what we've just witnessed. But how are you feeling?
Well, yeah, it's just it's quite difficult to justify, I think, bringing back Jarrod Bowen when you saw what happened to Lucas Paqueta. Trying to rush him back from injury, and he actually went out for a bit longer. If there's ever a game you think that you probably would take a free hit on, it would be Sheffield United. And you highlighted again a very good point, which is something I was going to raise, is that if you're 1-0 down against Bristol City and you're getting the shit kicked out of you, and it's very clear to see, like everyone could see it, even the the commentators could see it, everyone could see it, the pundits, that we just weren't up for it and people just weren't bothered. Why not chuck the academy boys on? And I think this is a perfect game to do that. You're against bottom of the league. I know Mubama has done brilliantly, but you'd much rather see him play over Ings. Like surely Moyes has to reciprocate that. Fair enough. Fornals as well has to be some. I know he might be off, but he has to be getting in over Ben Rama, and he's got some quality about him. Cornet, maybe a bit of game time, a bit of run of game time. That's not a bad front three. Cornet, Fornals, and Mubama, like that's not awful. So I think having to rest players like Jarrod Bowen in this game is just a necessary evil. If it gets to 60, 70 minutes and we chuck him on, no problem with that at all. But I think starting him from the get-go is just not a good idea, in my opinion. I don't want to aggravate his injury. He's very, very crucial to this season. And we've got Bournemouth next. And I think after this game, we've got a rest period of around 10 days. So don't pull him back for this one. He'll be 100% good and ready for the Bournemouth game, which is what we want, really. But, I don't see Sheffield United causing us too many problems. There used to be a side that, manipulated the wings and properly pushed their wing backs up, but they haven't been very effective at it this season at all. They tend to try and play through the midfield. On the break, they can be quite dangerous. Cameron Archer, like I said, he's got a load of pace and abundance of pace. Looks very good. McAtee as well. He likes to probe the sort of outside of the box. And as well, Harmer, he's someone you've got to watch out for. He does a Souček type run, always ghosting into the box. But again, I think if this is a game we approach it as, let's just assume Sheffield are going to score and we're going to score more, I think you're going to win the game easily. It's something, it's similar to what you'd approach Nottingham Forest with. If you can score more goals than Forest, you're going to obviously win the game. They tend to only score one anyway. So if this is a game we approach in the Moyes way of like, oh, how can we stop Sheffield United from? No, if we attack it, if we get it from a way of let's just attack Sheffield United, try and score as many as possible. Yeah, we'll let in 1 or 2, but we're going to score 4 or 5. I don't see why we don't just approach it that way, and just try and get them to the wall, because if we could approach it in a way of let's just sort of tactically try and break them down, that's not what you want to do against a side against Sheffield. You just want to go at them. I mean, Newcastle put like 7 past them this season. It's not. They've obviously got some frailties at the back, and we should exploit that.
I understand what you're saying, but I think knowing David Moyes now, I don't think that'll be his approach at all. I think Moyes will see this as we've got to try and get a point out of this game, just because of the injuries we've got. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think we will try and win it, but I think it will be very much a case of backs to the wall, hold on, see if we can get a set piece, nick a goal, and that might be it. I think that's what it's going to be, a sort of smash and grab job, I think. I mean, I might be wrong, but I can't see Moyes setting up to go and attack them. Only because we're lacking our attackers. I think if we had Paqueta, Kudus, Bowen, everyone fit, I'd be feeling very confident going into this game. I'd be thinking, I'm pretty sure we'll go and get the job done. But with our depleted squad at the moment, I am struggling with it, just because we haven't got much of a front line. However, I am including Bowen in my team in this, just to give you the heads up. Assuming that he's fit, just because of the magnitude of the game, mate, because of the fact that Spurs and Manchester United drew. If West Ham can get 3 points, it really puts us in such a strong position in that top 5, top 6 chase.
We don't get 3 points without Bowen, though. Is it that pivotal? Do you think? Like, is this team not good enough to beat Sheffield without?
I don't think there's any goals in it without him. That's the only problem. That's the only thing I struggle with. I don't see we've got any goals at all. I'm struggling with it. I mean, even James Ward-Prowse, and I think without having those front three players in front of him, he looks a little bit ineffective. He struggled to impose himself in the game because he had no one really in front of him that was making the runs that he desires or helping him out. He was struggling, and Souček was awful against Bristol City. Really, really poor. In fact, so much so I don't really want to see him play in this game, but I have picked him. It's just because we haven't really got any other options at the moment. But I'd happily not have dropped him. So this is my team, mate. Let's go for the teams. And obviously, for you watching, obviously, if you can give us your team and your prediction, if you get the prediction right, you enter a draw and you get a gift from our shop. So please let us know. Also, it's quite interesting to see what other people think of their teams, because it's going to be obviously quite a few big question marks over certain players in this one. Let's start with our defence, mate. Who are you going for in goal?
Oh, mate, Areola, easily. I think Fabianski, he's just so slow off his line. Every single time I watch him, it's like he's 10 seconds behind. I mean, even in that Bristol City game, which I don't want to keep bringing up, but Cornet plays through Ings, and yeah, it's a bit overhit, but Ings doesn't have the pace to get there, and the keeper's quick off the line. Mavropanos makes a back pass, which is, shoddy and awful, but Fabianski takes 3 to 5 business days to get off his line. And he doesn't, you have to think in that position, you just have to clear the ball out. You have to slide in, you have to go for it. And instead, he just sort of kicks the ball and almost sort of gets the player a little bit and misses the ball.
Yeah, I think it was a penalty. Actually, I think it was actually. I think if he hadn't scored,
but I think you have to do that in that game. I think you have to just slide in and try and take the ball and take the yellow card, because if he goes around it, it's going to be a goal, isn't it? But for me, Fabianski is just his time's done at the club. Unfortunately, he's at that age now, and I just think we've got to be playing Areola. He's proved himself a number of times this season. It's an easy question. I'd be very shocked if anyone has Lucas in over Areola.
No, I've gone for Areola. I think Fabianski's actually having a good season personally. I think he's been all right, but I think I know what you're saying. I think he was at fault for that. I wouldn't say he was at fault for the second goal personally. I think it was definitely Mavropanos. I know what you're saying. He was slow off the line, but I was actually more annoyed with him in the first game against Bristol City when that ball came through and he sort of just stayed on his line, and it was so obvious he was just going to smash it in the back of the net. I just thought, for his experience, he should have read that and come straight off his line. But yeah, I know what you mean. But overall, I think he's been all right. But yeah, Areola for me, definitely. I agree. Now, the back line, this is an interesting one, obviously, because we've got a couple of players are out of form. Mavropanos, obviously, has just made a mistake. But this is my back line. I want to see Coufal dropped. I think he's been poor the last couple of games. He looks tired. I think he needs a rest. And I've got to say, I've been really impressed with Ben Johnson this season. No problems with him at all. I think he's looked really good. In fact, I would say he's one of the best players on the pitch for us against Bristol City. Look, at least he was giving it a bloody go. Like, he was really trying. He was not only was he playing well defensively, I thought going forward, he was trying to make things happen. He was taking players on. He was looking for the pass. He was doing things. He looks a player actually in good form. So I actually would rather see Johnson start this game. I've gone for Johnson. I'm going to stick with Mavropanos. I know he's made a couple of mistakes, and hopefully he can iron that out. But I think overall he's actually not been a bad player for us. He's just, unfortunately, he keeps making an error. Hopefully he can just get that sorted out. But it is a bit of a concern. Kurt Zouma and Emerson for me. What about you, mate? I'm assuming you're sticking with back four, are you? Or are you going to go with the back five?
Yeah, I'm not going to try and invent the wheel, mate. We're definitely sticking with the back four. But
yeah, because back five didn't work for us against Bristol City. It was absolutely atrocious.
Right, a question came into my head, and it's not something I ever thought I'd really consider at the start of this season. But Ogbonna and Mavropanos had a very good partnership over the last couple of occasions that they played. And, you put Zouma and Mavropanos in, and they just don't look as good. So, in my eyes, am I going to put Zouma in when I know he's the better player, obviously the captain, or am I going to put a player in that I kind of feel like has done decent as when called upon when he played with Mavropanos? Fair enough. I think he played in the Cup earlier this season, and I thought he looked completely just out of it. But in the Premier League experience that he's had and played with Mavropanos, he's played quite well together. So, I'm really tempted to go for an Ogbonna Mavropanos partnership, and I think I will, because I just think it's something that's worked before. The experience of Ogbonna as well should come into play, and I just think Mavropanos looks a lot more confident when he plays with him. He doesn't make these silly mistakes. He's played with Aged and Zouma, and the only time I feel like he's looked like a competent defender is when he's been next to Ogbonna. So for me, controversial. I'm dropping Kurt Zouma, very controversial, but I think that's what I'm going to do. I can't drop Coufal. I get what you're saying about Johnson, but for me, I think in a team that lacks goals, the way Coufal is when he goes forward, and how well he's done this season at getting balls into the box and working on that right-hand side. I think I cannot lose that this game if I'm going to be losing Jarrod Bowen. So for me, I think I have to play him. And I get what you're saying, but I can always sub on a Scholes or a Johnson if I feel like it's not working. But I think I will stick with Sufal. And left back, obviously, we're going with the best left back in the league, Emerson. He's been completely brilliant this season, and
he's
fantastic. Got to keep his place.
Well, he was one of those players that actually came out with his head held high, didn't he, against Bristol City? Emerson, he was really good again. Like, he's just been very, very consistently good all season. So and even last season he was very good. So absolutely agree with that. Yeah, so I do understand your point. I just think I quite like. There's a big reason as well, Ben Johnson. I really want to keep Johnson. I really, really don't want to see him sold. I've changed my opinion on that because at the beginning of the season, I was quite happy to see him be sold and moved on because of this whole contract stuff. But having seen him come on and play a few times now this season, I think he's looked really good. And he's so versatile. We can play at centre back. He can play at right back and even play at left back. And he's an academy boy, and he looks better at the moment. He's looking a better player, and I just hope they can get this contract stuff sorted out. As far as we understand it, I think the talks are going okay, but I don't know for certain. But I think I've got a feeling he will sign a deal. I think they'll get it agreed. But apparently one of the reasons of his issues is everyone keeps saying it's about money, but I think one of the key reasons he wants game time. So it's probably not a bad time to start him, but that's just my feeling on it. Midfield, I'm going for Edson Alvarez. Assuming Edson Alvarez is available, I think he will be because I think it was only minor the reason he was pulled out of the Bristol City game. So I don't think he'll be out. Moyes has kept his cards close to his chest that season, hasn't he, regarding these injuries? He's not letting anyone know what's happening, but I'm assuming Alvarez is available. We bloody need him because we really missed him against Bristol City. We got bullied all over that pitch, and he's that player that I just don't think he'd let that happen. And we're going to need that because I think Sheffield United are going to be doing the same. So I want to see Alvarez back in there. And I'll put Souček alongside him because of his height, really. And I think we're going to need that against a team like Bristol, Sheffield United. I think they're going to be hoofing the ball in that box quite a fair bit. We're going to have to be up for that. And I put James Ward-Prowse ahead of them. Mate, what's your midfield looking like?
Yeah, it's the same, but simply because I'm out of options, to be honest.
Yeah.
I can't really put Fornals in the midfield as I probably want to because I need to put him in my front line.
Okay.
There's no one really else available, I don't think, really at the moment, with obviously Paqueta unavailable. I think midfield's quite a hard game for the youth to come in because even if they do play well, they don't often get the plaudits because it's hard to get the stats and stuff. It's kind of easier to come in as a defender or as a striker because you get people can easily see, and you can often get lost in midfield in the Premier League. It's very, very physical. So it's not something I want to, put on a youth player at the moment. But yeah, unfortunately, it is vice versa. It is the same. Souček is someone I've been wanting to drop for a long time, but until we get someone else in, I think he's kind of got to play.
Well, yeah. I mean, Souček said, he's not having a horrendous season, but recently, he breaks up our play too much. He's not good enough on the ball. Like he's good enough in certain situations, very good in the box, very good getting in the air, causing defenders problems and bullying. He's great at that. That is his game. He's very, very good at it. But when you get that ball on the ground and lay it to him, he is just awful. He slows up the play. His passing ability is so bad. It's like he just hasn't got any distribution about him at all. He just can't get the weight of a pass right. He can't get the direction of it correctly. He's just I don't know how he's managed it throughout his career, but that's just unfortunate as it is what he's like. So, but as you said, we're out of options really. Calvin Phillips for me would be a big upgrade, and I think it's needed, to be honest. I think we've witnessed it quite a bit because let's be honest, I think we'd be much happier today to be saying we've got Alvarez alongside Calvin Phillips in midfield, Ward-Prowse ahead. I think you think, that sounds a bit more like it. We're going to play some football. Up front, I've been a bit controversial with this. Now, it's a bit of a weird one. I think we've got to do two kind of front lines for me because we don't know the situation on Jarrod Bowen. Now, if Bowen's available, I want to see this. I would pick Jarrod Bowen on the right, Cornet out on the left, and I'd have Callum Marshall up front, personally. I was really impressed with Marshall. I actually think he looked really, really good when he came on against Bristol City. Lively, lovely on the ball. He looked confident. He didn't look phased at all about who he was playing against and looked far more established at the moment than Divine Mabama, who looks a little bit out of confidence. Kind of looks like he could do with a loan move, whereas Marshall just looked the business straight away. I appreciate it was only a few minutes, but I get the feeling that wouldn't be a bad front line, actually, a bit of pace. However, if Bowen's not available, my front line would just be that I would swap Marshall and Bowen over. I'd put Marshall out on the right. I'd have Barmer up front, and then I'd have Cornet on the left, because I think they could swap over Mabama and Cornet and Marshall. Don't forget they've played together for years, haven't they? They know each other pretty well. So I think we're out of options, really. We don't have many options, and I don't really rate Fornals anymore. I think he's finished, and I don't know. I'm not saying it'd be awful. Moyes won't go for that. Moyes will never ever pick this team, but that's what I would be doing. Just go for it a little bit, put some youth out there, and say, look, just give it a go. We need something up front. And I think Cornet deserves his start. Actually, I know he wasn't overly great, but at least he gave it a go. And look, I get the feeling Cornet will probably be staying this window as well. I don't get the impression he's going anywhere, so I think he needs some game time. And my God, we need to give these players some minutes, mate, because they need some confidence levels. We've seen that recently. What's your front line? I think you need to do both as well. If you've got Bowen available, and then if you haven't.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm quite taken aback by that front three. To be fair, it's very ballsy. It's very, very ballsy. I think putting 2 youth players in when we need goals is maybe a little bit out there. But you know what? I mean, I'd rather see Callum Marshall out there than Ings. And I
was scared. I don't want to see Ings ever put on a football shirt again. He will be starting this game. He will be starting this game. I'm sure. Yeah, Moyes will do the whole bullshit. Yeah, but he used to play for Liverpool and he scored quite a few goals for them. He did quite well at Southampton, so I'll play him. That's what Moyes will do, because that's how Moyes' brain works. But I mean, for a man that touched the ball fucking 7 times and against Bristol City, who are a championship side, just tells you that bloke is not good enough. Sorry, mate. You carry on.
No. I mean, I love it, mate. It's absolutely fine. I get that much passionate when I'm talking about Danny Ings as well. But I think, you know, if you got someone who's on that much money a week, you kind of have to justify playing him, because you know it's just ridiculous the amount of money he's on. But you know, this is the most pointless conversation in the world, because Danny Ings will be starting and probably play 90 minutes against Sheffield United to no avail, probably. And even if he does score, oh well, fuck him. I don't really care. But yeah, if we have Bowen, then I probably would go with you. I'd go Bowen, Mubama, and Cornet. I personally think that Mubama's kind of deserved his run of games at the moment, and I feel like it kind of sends the wrong message to him if it's like, you know, it kind of almost sends the message of like, oh, you're yesterday's news. I know you're like the youth player, but you know, and you want to play more games, and you know, we want to sign you this contract. Until that contract's at least signed, I think that he needs to get the nod over someone like Marshall at the moment, with the amount of time he's waiting on the bench, and you know, with his discrepancies at game time. I feel like it would just completely send the wrong message if we said, oh, we can't play you because, you know, we just don't have the availability in the team, and then we put in Callum Marshall ahead of you. You know what I mean? I just feel like it sends the wrong message during this sort of tenuous time of contract negotiation. So I would be going Bowen, Cornet, Mubama. I think that's a blinding front three. And I'm sure Bowen can adapt back to the right wing role. But if he's not available, which I don't think he is, and I don't think he should be, I think we should at least rest into the 60th, 70th minute, and then we'll do what we need to do. I would be going for Fornals, Cornet, and Mubama in the middle. I get what you're saying about Fornals, but I think he's got experience and he can play quite well. And I feel like, we're kind of out of options here. Like I would probably rather play Fornals than Marshall, simply for the fact that you're just putting way too much trust in the youth in that scenario. And you know, if we are playing poorly, West Ham fans will get on the back of them. You know they will, especially if we're not scoring goals. You know, so I just feel like it's a lot of pressure for them to deal with, and having 2 of them leading the front line, I think is just very, very risky for me. So I'd be going Fornals.
No, I understand. Yeah, I do get your argument. I do. I don't want to throw them under the bus. I just think that I'm struggling to see where the goals are going to come from at the moment. Hence why I'm starting Bowen if he's fit, because I think he's the only. If Bowen, this is my theory. If Bowen's fit and he's fit enough to play this game, I think he has to start, because I think if he plays, we've got a chance of winning the game. I think without Bowen, I don't see us scoring goals. I just do not see it. I think the only chance I can see us scoring a goal is from a corner, free kick or something like that. I don't see us going and playing some lovely football and banging goals, and I just don't see it. Whereas Bowen, I think, has got the ability to do that. Look, Time for prediction time, mate. I don't know about you, but I'm not confident in going into this game. I think it really depends on Bowen. It seems very 50-50 to me. My gut tells me he's not going to be available, only because Moyes has sort of said, oh, no, I'm not going to give that information away. And although he did say he's doing better, I've got this feeling he's not. I don't know why. Probably should try to find out from X if he was available before this, but don't know. I'm hoping he is. If he is available, I know you're saying it's a gamble, but because we've got that 10-day break, that kind of gives me the confidence that even if he does come off a little bit sore and goes, oh, yeah, my ankle's a bit sore, you can go, well, you've got 10 days off now. Give him 4 days off rest and just say, look, no football for a few days, rest up, get yourself. Then you've got pretty much a week then to get yourself match fit for Bournemouth. So I probably would take the gamble, but I know it's a big risk.
I mean, it is an impact injury, isn't it? It's not like a strain or anything like that. So it's if with a strain, if you play with a strain, often you can make it even worse, and you get a different grade.
Exactly.
But
and also,
it cannot be as bad.
Yeah, exactly. And it sounds like a bad knock, doesn't it? Because it sounded like it swelled up, and they were going, "Oh, they don't know what's wrong with it." Then the swelling went down. They scanned it, and they said, "Oh, the damage is very minimal." So maybe it just sounds like he just took a really nasty kick to the ankle, and it's hurt him. But it's, like you say, no ligament damage and stuff. So it might be quite low risk, and just say, "Look, well, even if you feel a bit sore, you can rest up Jared for a few days. But you can just stay at home, put your foot up." And then you can come back training in next week, and then you can have a whole week getting ready to face Bournemouth. That's what I personally would do, but I'm not. Who knows? As you might know, mate, I'm not actually a doctor. I know it'll surprise you. Right, prediction time for this one. I'm not really confident. I've got to be honest, and I actually probably wouldn't be too disappointed with a point. Although I know 3 points would be massive for us. I just don't want to lose this game. I really don't. I want us to try and keep something going here. I've gone for 1-1. In this one for a prediction. What's your feelings, mate?
I've gone for 1-1, except I've also gone for 2-1. So we will. I feel like it will be a draw, and we will be able to get over the line and get that telling goal. But I only think that's because Jared Bowen will come on for a 30-minute cameo at the very least, and hopefully claw us back into a few goals. But it is quite worrying, and I think it's something I spoke about a while ago that I feel like everyone sees how well we're playing and the results we're getting, but realistically, it's only 3 players that are dragging us to those results. And I said ages ago, if you take those 3 players out of this side, the performances are masked by how good they are. And I think we're seeing that now. The fact that yes, teams have lost big players, like Spurs have lost Son, and they've got the ability to bring players in. Liverpool, loads of sides have lost players, but Newcastle as well, they're getting big results. Despite the fact that they've lost so many big players. But you take 3 players out of West Ham for one game, and all of a sudden you're like, Christ, we're like, what team have we even got at the moment? So it is quite worrying, and hopefully they just all come back and we can get over this period. The only good thing is, obviously, we've got a bit of an extended break. This is, I think, the last game in January for us. So after that, 1st of February, and then a couple days after that, we have another game. So hopefully we just bypass this little period, and whatever happens in this period, we kind of just mark down to, it's a one-off. It's happened. It's not great, but we could just kick on from there.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's one of those when you've lost players through injury, like we have, and had like a very much, let's be frank, we are going through a bit of a mini crisis at the moment with injury. I don't think we've got players coming back, and it will be sorted soon enough. But when you're going through those phases, you just got to sort of grit your teeth and get through it. And I think this is one of them games. Like, I don't think it's an away game in the Premier League. If West Ham come away with it, with a draw, I don't think it's that terrible result. I mean, it's a winnable game. We know that. And had we had our best team available, I would be expecting 3 points, and I'd be quite disappointed with a draw. In fact, I would be very disappointed with a draw, but I probably won't be too disappointed if we got a point in this game and just said, right, we've got something from it, let's move on. I think we're going to be up against it, though. I think Chris Wilder's not an idiot, and he'll know. He'd have had his scouts watching the Bristol City game, or possibly even watching it himself. And probably just watch the team get absolutely bullied off the pitch. So you're probably thinking, right, well, that's what we're going to do. We'll just kick West Ham to bits and see if we can get a result. It's going to be a tough game, but I'll tell you what, if we can get Bowen, if Bowen's fit and available, I think we've got every chance of winning it. I think it could be that could be the difference in this, because I think he's got goals in him. He's been great this season, and we need it, because if West Ham can get 3 points, mate, then my word, we are in for a very, very interesting season.